No,
reclaiming my time.
I'm sorry, Congressman.
Don't try to filibuster me.
I'm going to answer because
Don't
I'm
try
speaking
to
up.
filibuster me.
I'm speaking up
This
for
is
my
my
dedicated
time.
career
Do not
professionals
try
and political
to
professionals
filibuster me.
who have been working around the
Do
clock
not
in this crisis.
try to
and
filibuster.
you are not going to malign their work.
Stop trying to filibuster. Just answer the question.
Legislators that filibuster, not me.
Just answer the questions.
Wait, did you catch this moment? Things suddenly take a sharp turn. Congressman Gregory Meeks cuts off a State Department official mid-response and says something you almost never hear this directly in a congressional hearing. Do not try to filibuster me. That moment instantly changed the tone of the entire exchange. But here's the bigger question most people are asking after watching this clip. Was the witness actually avoiding the question, or was this just political theater inside a heated hearing? Before we break this down, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel. Here at the Capitol Current, we cut through the noise and analyze the most intense moments happening in Washington so you can decide for yourself what's really going on. Let's get into it.
Ranking Member Meeks.
Yes, Madam Undersecretary, you're right when you're the first witness here since this war. We're now at war in Iran. And in the past, the department has touted its close public diplomacy cooperation with the U.S. military entities like CITCOM. Yet there does not seem to have any real coordination at this time, even as we've been surging military assets into the region for weeks. And we also see that in the changing messages about our objectives and in the late evacuation advisories for U.S. citizens that have left so many American citizens stranded. My office is getting calls every day, Texas, from people who are stranded because there was no plan about them getting out. Now, if the administration can't get its message straight when speaking to Americans, I can only imagine it's worse overseas. So, did your Bureau engage in any advanced planning about how to manage the information environment and effects of this war on global public opinion?
Thank you, Congressman. So my Bureau is always engaged in advanced long-term planning on how to respond to crisis situations. We have really dedicated career professionals I've been very impressed by who maintain a round-the-clock crisis task force. We have a whole special dedicated facility for that Secretary Rubio toured and highlighted yesterday. I want to highlight that since February 28th, the department has facilitated the safe return of over 17,500 American citizens from the Middle East, and as of yesterday, including a single-day surge of 8,500 arrivals yesterday. Thousands more have successfully transitioned to safe havens in Europe or Asia, so they're not home, but they're somewhere safe. Public diplomacy means we try to communicate in an authentic, agile way.
How was that messaged?
Well, so our Bureau of Global Public Affairs and our Bureau of Consular Affairs have been coordinating closely. Consular Affairs, not my bureau, is principally responsible for those kinds of consular services. Here's how you get on a plane. Here's how you get home. We've been working to amplify
Did you have that conversation before the bomb started dropping?
So the Undersecretary for Public Diplomacy is not part of the tactical, operational, or strategic planning for commencement
so there was no
military
planning,
operations.
direct planning.
But no, Congressman Meeks, respectfully, that's entirely wrong. There's constant direct planning going on. We are constantly bolstering our infrastructure for crisis communications and communications in closed societies like Iran, where the government doesn't want our message getting in. We are constantly bolstering our ability to communicate with global publics and the American public.
No,
I'm sorry, Congressman.
Don't try to filibuster me.
I'm going to answer because
I'm speaking
up for my dedicated career professionals and political professionals who have been working around the clock in this crisis. And you are not going to malign their work.
Stop trying to filibuster. Just answer the question.
Legislators that filibuster, not me.
Just answer the questions.
This moment took place during a House Foreign Affairs Committee hearing where lawmakers were questioning a State Department official about U.S. foreign policy messaging and diplomatic credibility. Congressman Gregory Meeks, who was leading the questioning at that moment, began pressing the official about whether past rhetoric connected to Donald Trump had any influence on how American diplomacy was perceived abroad. Now, hearings like this are supposed to be about accountability. Lawmakers ask direct questions and government officials are expected to give clear answers. But in this exchange, The State Department witness began giving what sounded like a broader, more cautious response instead of directly addressing the question. And that's when the tension started building. Meeks interrupted and pushed the witness to stay focused on the exact point he was asking about. The official continued explaining their position in a very typical bureaucratic way, careful wording, long explanations, and avoiding definitive political statements. Then the moment happened. Meeks abruptly cut in and said, "Do not try to filibuster me." That line immediately made this clip stand out. From a political perspective, what we're seeing here is something that happens often in Washington hearings. Lawmakers want short, direct answers. Government officials, on the other hand, tend to give longer explanations to avoid making statements that could be interpreted politically. But here's where this becomes interesting.
Now tell us what was done in your secretariat to prepare for the war with Iran.
So as I've explained, and I'll try to answer again, I think we are constantly
Now, I want to know specifically about the war in Iran. I don't know what constantly means. It's specifically with preparation for the war in Iran. What did you do?
So specifically in Iran, I'm happy to give you very Iran-specific stuff. So we coordinate closely with US AGM, which beams and otherwise gets messages into Iran. And we also run a social media platform called US Aba Farsi that is one of the main sources, frankly, of outside information in Iran. And so preparing for any conflict or any crisis, these are key tools. Maintaining them is something my office did to prepare for this war, that we're doing to prepare for any crisis or any conflict in the future. Those are evergreen preparation measures, and I don't think they should
So
be
you were working with Carrie Lake on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and you know that Carrie Lake, who's the de facto leader of the U.S. Agency for Global Media, has been working to dismantle the proven tools that we need to communicate to people of Iran and the broader East. She cut Voice of America's Persian service to almost zero, only to then scramble back to try to fix it by her mistake, by bringing staff back from administrative leave. She continues to hamstring radio fodder by refusing the use of US AGM medium wave transmissions into Iran, forcing radio fodder to find alternative platforms, wasting precious time and taxpayer money. We ought to be surging more on content so that the Iranian people know what's happening and where we stand with them. That has not been happening. And your bureau, working with Ms. Lake, seems to me that there is even a disconnect there. I'm out of time, but I just want to say that there are other things that we do need your commitment on with reference to carrying out the statute as you carry out your responsibilities, to work on programming that shall be non-political in character and shall be balanced and representative for the diversity of American political, social, and cultural life, and that academic and cultural programs maintain scholarly integrity and meet the highest standards of academic excellence or artistic achievement. You know, because this is what the law says, and the law also goes on to require you to ensure the department does not fund organizations engaging in partisan political activity in the United States. These two provisions are very important. In fact, the first one I read was written twice in the statute by Congress. It's that important. And I yield back.
The focus of the questioning centered on whether rhetoric during the Trump administration affected diplomatic messaging and credibility internationally. That's a debate that has been happening in Washington for years. Supporters of President Donald Trump argue that his approach to foreign policy was direct, unapologetic, and focused on American interests. Critics argue that some of that rhetoric complicated relationships with certain allies, so when that topic came up in this hearing, it was almost guaranteed to spark tension. From a broader viewpoint, this exchange highlights something many Americans notice when they watch congressional hearings. Lawmakers and officials often talk past each other instead of directly answering the core question. That's why moments like this go viral. Not necessarily because of the policy discussion itself, but because the frustration becomes visible. And regardless of where someone stands politically, transparency and clear answers from government officials are something voters across the political spectrum say they want. After the interruption, the witness continued explaining their position, but the moment had already changed the tone of the hearing. What started as routine questioning quickly became one of the most talked about exchanges from the session, and that's why clips like this spread so quickly online. People want to see what really happens inside these hearings when the cameras are rolling. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think the witness was actually avoiding the question, or was this just another example of how tense congressional hearings can get? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you want more breakdowns of the most heated moments from Washington hearings, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, and stay right here on the Capitol Current, because the next video on your screen breaks down another intense congressional clash that's getting a lot of attention right now.